Many Western games are like Titanic. Spend so much money to make, only for it to hit an iceberg called DEI, and then sank to the depths. Hello there, how's it there? Ame Gakita there. So obviously today the chat is about gaming, but more so about another client of Sweet Baby Inc. collapsing after finally admitting their failure. So obviously we are going to talk about the Reflector, or actually more so anyone who know very well would be the one who created a game called Unknown 9. Now, it's really kind of interesting that when this game itself is really kind of like considered like was going to be one of the biggest franchise, but the funny thing is that a lot of people always misunderstand the word franchise. You don't really create a franchise just because you can. You create a franchise because it's what the consumer make it to be. So obviously you can't really go around and create a so-called game and say it's a franchise. And more so when you look at the game itself, Unknown 9 itself is like they was going to so-called put a lot of upcoming release like comics book, novel, podcast, web series, whatever BS along the line, only for it to flop so badly that when you look at the whole scenario, it's really showcased that they can't even get the first step out. And when you look at the whole scenario, when they spend so much money to make, it's really just kind of like just back the question: is it even worth investing in? And more so when the company that is investing in this is actually one of the Japan called the Neko Bandai. Well, if you can't get to overtake Japan, just drag Japan in at this point of time. So that is one of the things that I always say, that even Japan is not uninvolved. They are involved in some way. Maybe they just get some of the company just to invest in the Western game company and then say it is what Western game company want. That's what the Western consumer want. Only to realize that all these things just flop at the start. And even more so that now they finally did admit where they did wrong. Because initially they go and like I predicted, they do with the layoff first. They start with like saying like this is gonna flop, there is this, there is that, and often more than not the first step is always the layoff, regardless of how they say like 10%, 20% or 5%. When the company is not making the deadline or making like the into the black, which is basically in accounting mean that they are making a profit, it often more than not lead to failure. And the thing is, right, at this point of time you really can't blame just the game itself. More so when I actually did a video about talking like called, is it like should we blame just the failure itself? Like last time when I was talking about Bioware, a lot of people were just jumping on the ship saying like we should blame the game director, and I actually say should we blame the game director? It can be many other reasons. So when I talk about it, I also highlight that there is a lot of point, and for some reason there are some disagreements, so I'm just going to highlight it. It's not that you just say that, oh, just because it's the captain doing the game director, which being the captain taking control of the helm and leading the ship. If people don't agree with him, there will be something called immunity, which basically overtake the captain. So if the company did not do it, if no one is doing it, obviously they all agree with it. So there's no way you're telling me that those people who is working within are not at fault. And do take note that when I say sometimes it's just that even a mistake done by a sailor is still the responsible of the captain itself. So when you look over the whole scenario is as a whole, you can't really say around saying like just because that one mistake mean that only that one guy did mistake. If the overall no one is stopping that person, or if the captain is the one making mistake and no one stopping him, then everyone as a whole always holds some responsibility and accountability if we have to add it in. Now, obviously, when you look at a lot of game, like when I say like a lot of game sing like a Titanic at this point of time, it just showcased that even like company now trying to make ends meet for the company because they are not selling much, or even like game companies saying like, oh, we don't want to release it to PC, only for people to realize that it contains a lot of like situation where they don't like it, and when they don't want to buy the console version, which the developer was hoping to aim for, only for it to realize that they made the huge stupid mistake of trying to go against the gamers. Yeah, I think they're just trying to hit another iceberg after hitting the iceberg called DEI, which is attack the gamers. And I legit like did a random chat saying that don't freaking attack the gamers. They are your consumer, they are your audience, they are your people who's going to pay money and give you the damn money that you wish to have. So when you kind of like do at the whole scenario, at the whole point, yeah, it just basically just that a lot of game company, a lot of the game developer, they don't understand. They are maybe just out of touch, maybe. But the thing is, right, when you look at a lot of scenario, it's not really just saying like, hey, is it like just the game company just trying to create games that is contain like DEI whatsoever? Like it's still fine if they want to add it in, but just don't go and out nowhere attack the gamers and then say that it should be forced upon the gamer itself, because obviously people wouldn't like it. And the more so is that even if the company itself saying like they're trying to put in like a bit of DEI, which I always say is fine if you want to add it in, but make it relatable, make it fun, make it understandable. Yeah, the thing is, right, if you start attacking the gamer as well, or people who trying to defend your game, yeah, you kind of like bet the question like, will people start thinking like, is your game really actually work at this point of time? Because the thing is, Kingdom Come Deliverance, the director decided to just attack Rev Says, even though Rev Says did a video, which obviously I understand is not like saying understandable on his anger. So the thing is, right, Rev Says did a video which in terms of context, not wrong, but I wouldn't even say right entirely. Rev Says always have a way of making videos that seems controversial at times, but what can you blame him for? It's what made him to getting people to click on his video. So obviously, if you don't like him, you don't like him. If you like him, you watch his damn video and shut up, for goodness sake. Just don't attack him. Like the moment I talk about that one day before the incident, I said don't attack Rev Says. I guess that video didn't reach the hand of the director in time, and it just happened to that he started to attack Rev Says because he didn't watch the damn video. Now, to give credit to Rev Says on one end is that a lot of his day is just basically talking about point of view that is happening on Twitter. So he is just reporting on that end. Now, the second on end that he kind of like defend the game because he said the rumors will come true. And everyone will start thinking about it. More so when one of the thing is about the game having some sort of like LGBTQ movement. And the thing is, right, I haven't touched the game, I don't know the game, but based on what I researched, I understand from one simple thing is that the game is just basically let you choose that whether you want to be LGBTQ or you want to be a straight person. That's just that simple. So if your character is a male and you want the character to go after a guy, then by all means go ahead, no one's stopping you. But if you want to go after a girl, then there's no one is also stopping you either. So what's wrong? So the thing is, right, a lot of people aren't like into LGBTQ situation. More so is because if they are very religious faith holder, so you can't really blame those kind of people thinking that, hey, do they want to have this kind of like LGBTQ moment in game if they aren't, or maybe if their country don't allow this. So if their country don't allow it, you can't really say that they will allow this game. And obviously that incident got banned in some country, and it will probably get banned more in other different country if it being found on that scene. But often more than not, it's really not like moment where you should start attacking people who saying like it's a choose your own path, and then if the country ban it, you can't really stop them. But to call a person griever just because they defending your game, like seriously. Obviously Rev Says did comment about how he unfortunately he showed the director himself, but the director himself also kind of like realized his mistake. I think he watched it, I'm not sure, but he admit on his defense was that the title seems misleading, which I would again highlight. It's not wrong, but it's also not right. So that is the one thing that sometimes I always say, I don't agree with Rev Says, but doesn't mean I need to point that out. If he think it's right, then his thing is right. It's not under my, like, I am not his friend, I'm not his family to go and tell him that, hey, you should not do this. If he want to do it, by all means go ahead. Just that I would just say that the title may seem misleading. I would just highlight it in my video, or I would just move on. Nothing much to it. Obviously, some people just can't bear with it. I mean, like, it's also fine to like highlight that the title seems misleading. Are you attacking my game along the line? If you say in that way, I think it's still fine. But it's just that when you start calling people and just be mad over it, yeah, I don't think that even like when Perma Ben talk about how the issue on it might be just maybe like earlier mentioned, like sometimes it's just a sailor issue, like the community member might be one that making the whole issue happening, or maybe in some people would be saying like it's just that the way the director taught may seems leading along the line. Regardless of whose fault, is it the community manager or is it the director, as a whole, like I mentioned a lot of time, everyone have to hold some responsibility, accountability, or whatever you want to call it, because when you did it, it always can lead to miscommunication and it will lead to misinformation. So when that actually happens, you can't blame that and everyone start thinking and piece together all the misinformation into some sort of truth, because often more than not, you want to do some proper research, you want to look at a lot of information first before you start doing a lot of things. It's the same thing like for random chat. I always try to look at a lot of situation. Is it true? And now a lot of people are now backing off this game. Why? Because they think that it contains DEI. Why? Because it contains the sin of LGBTQ. So in a way, like I mentioned, if people aren't into that, you can't stop them from not buying it. And I know some people will say that their concern is unreasonable, but in a way, if you look at their point of view, if they are religious or if those people are not comfortable with that sin, and if there is a chance of them hitting that sin even at the lowest rate possible, it means that they still have the chance to hit it somehow, some way, somewhat, or maybe they have to hit the full completion for that reason, and they have to hit that specific sin. Then you can't blame them for not buying it because they don't want to be uncomfortable with it. So when that happens, if there is many people withdrawing, not buying the game just because it contains bit of DEI, you can't you can't go around and saying like they don't attack anyone. So it's the same thing for a lot of games that trying to add in DEI as a whole or just bit of it. If people are not going to buy it, people are not going to buy it. And at the same time, franchise is not really just a franchise just because the game company can. It's often more than not is the consumer, the audience, the gamers, the players often giving the money for the game, and the company use that money to invest in further update, further game, or further franchise. So at the end of the day, it's really one of the things that at this point of time, a lot of game, like I mentioned, it's just basically like a Titanic. The moment they hit the iceberg, DEI attack the gamers or just full right being crazy along the line, then obviously they are going to sink to the depth. Regardless of how much money they spend on trying to make an unsinkable ship, it will still sink. Once you get into the ocean, if the freaking ship hit the iceberg and start having water inside, or if the ship somehow somewhere tip to one side and flip, yeah, obviously it is going to sink either way, somehow, some way, somewhat, alright? So there is always the risk of it, and a lot of game companies need to understand that create a game just doesn't because that the game company can do so, but it's because the gamers as well. It's just a very simple thing, but at the end of the day, it's just the simple thing seems to be overlooked the most easily. But at this point of time, which I feel like a lot of time I've been talking in my random chat. So anyway, I feel like I don't want to talk too much about this kind of topic too much. I don't want to make it ring too bad. But again, it is really one of the things that we have to ask ourselves, like, is Western game really worth the money to create, worth so much money to invest in, worth so much to create, and only for it to flop that badly? Because if you look at a lot of indie games, they don't really like cost much money to make, and yet a lot of people buying it, and it became one of the successful game ever. So why is a lot of game companies saying that they can't do so? Excuses? Who knows? That's, at the end of the day, it's just my speculative thought, just a random chat. Whether you agree, disagree, whether you think that the company really like deserve the fall down, or is it just that maybe a mistake here, there, everywhere? Write in the comment section below, we can discuss it further. If not, don't forget to press the like button and subscribe for more random chat where I talk about stuff that sometimes makes sense, doesn't make sense, or random at a time. But the one thing I hope is not random for you guys is have a nice day or night. Bye.